Hello and welcome to episode 140 of Gamers of the Lost Spark podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Chesson, and joining me this week, it's the other Spark on the pod. He's the cargo run connoisseur and my personal NFL Yoda. It's Mr. James Thomas.
Hello. How are you doing, Anthony?
I'm not too bad. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Yes, as you alluded, we went along to the NFL at the weekend, and myself and Manny tried to give you a crash course in everything American football. So do you feel you're now an expert? Do you know your left tackle from your right guards?
Absolutely, he says, shaking his head. I feel well versed. I thought you guys did really well and didn't get annoyed with me by going, what's happening now? Why is that a penalty? What's this happening? Why is there a guy with big orange gloves? Just I totally enjoyed it. I loved it. I thought it was just so much fun. I really enjoyed kind of Wembley Stadium. So I went along to Wembley to watch the Chargers and the Titans, and it was a fantastic game. It was a really, really good game. I think everybody came out buzzing, I think, even if you're a Titans fan.
Yeah, you chose a good game. I didn't want to try and tell you beforehand, but I think listening to some of the podcasts before we went along, the average margin of victory for the previous 5 games was in the high 20s.
Oh, wow.
So the last 5 games have been pretty much blowouts, so it was really good to see a game that finished really tight. Like this game down to the last few plays, they could have tied it in the last few seconds. The Titans were denied a last minute touchdown. They got stopped at the line a couple of times, some penalties, then kept the drive alive, and there was instant replays. There was so much. It was great. It was great for a first time out. I think it built to a great crescendo for it all.
It really did.
Yeah, and it's some superb plays all the way as well. Chargers had a couple of 75-yard touchdowns with some lovely long throws from Rivers. And I might be a 49ers fan, but I have always liked the Chargers. I like how Rivers plays the game. He's a bit of a gunslinger at times.
Yes, I just thought the whole spectacle just kind of going along, like you've seen it on TV, but actually just kind of going along. It was just such a fantastic game, and Rivers was man of the match, wasn't he?
Yes, yeah. I always think some of those awards are suspect by a crowd who just want to go throw it long, just do something exciting. I think the nuance might be lost in some of those votes.
If you could get a signal, I found that with 80,000 people in Wembley, I just could not get a signal at all. It was just, so I don't know how, because it was like a Twitter vote, wasn't it? Was it a Twitter vote? It was like kind of like hashtags and all of that malarkey on your favourite character. Oh, your favourite character. It's on your favourite player. But no, I absolutely just loved it. And are you popping along again this week?
Yes, yeah. So they've got 3 games at Wembley this year, and this weekend coming will be the 3rd of the 3.
Right.
And it's the one I'd be looking forward to most. It's the Eagles, who are the reigning Super Bowl champions, versus the Jaguars, who have been back to Wembley. I think this might be their 6th year in a row. I think so. They're a local favourite. I think through sheer attrition they have won the local fans over. So I'm hoping there might be a bit of a game though. Jacksonville have been. Not been playing well the last few weeks, so I've fingers crossed that some sort of home, in inverted commas, crowd might pull it around for them.
So are they the home team? So will they?
Yes. Yeah. They've basically been trying to sell the Jags as the home team for a long time, and when it started, they were really rubbish, utterly rubbish. And last year they got to the equivalent of I think it was like the equivalent of the semi-final for the Super Bowl, to put it in terms. So yeah, they're on the up, except they have a quarterback who can either hold it together and keep the offense going at a nice steady pace, or collapse like an absolute simpering child and just turn the ball over every 5 seconds. So it's going to be fun to see which one turns up on Sunday.
Yes. Oh, that just sounds so much fun. And that, I guess, I will be on BBC in the UK.
I believe so. Yes. So you can put all your knowledge to good use for a second week in a row.
Absolutely. I see a Sunday of maybe Forza on one TV and the NFL on another. That's what I'm seeing at the moment. Nice. That sounds like a good Sunday, hiding down in the movie room. Superb. What else have you been up to?
Now this isn't a straight segue into Bake Off, because I know Bake Off is eventually going to come up anyway.
Oh, yes.
So this is actually something I have been doing that genuinely will segue into Bake Off. But Ali and I have been trying the technical challenges week after week after week. So every time they do a technical challenge on the Bake Off, Ali and I look at each other and go, shall we? And we go, yes. And at the weekends, get the pans, get the flour, get the sugar out, and give them a go. And this week was probably one of our favourite ones yet, because last week was it was Danish week. And it wasn't just Danish pastries and all sorts. It was Abelskiver, I think is how you pronounce it, with one of those A's and E's that look like they're melded together at the start of the word that I can't find on Twitter, so I apologise to all my Danish friends for I constantly spell it wrong. But Abelskiver are basically small spherical donuts, and I was so taken with them. Like, before the challenge had even finished on last week's Bake Off, I had ordered the frying pan specially so we could make them.
That's so cool.
And we made the recipe up this weekend, and it was really good fun to make. You got to get the pan really hot. Then you got to dollop in this pancake, this almost pancake mixture. It's a bit thicker than that. And then you've just got to poke it with a skewer and keep on rotating it, because as soon as it's like solidified and it's got a skin, you've got to keep on turning it and turning it. And if you turn it quick enough, you will create a sphere, as it's this hemispherical pan with a dollop in the centre. So you just keep persuading it round, and when you've just got a little hole left, you dollop some apple or some chocolate into the centre, and you've this tiny fluffy pancakey mix with this tasty sweet centre. It's lovely. It's lovely. I was so happy with how they turned out. Like, the first couple of ones we did were, as you'd expect for first time ever, a bit of a write-off, and I have more sympathy for the people in the tent that way, seeing like, okay, here's a weird pan, do stuff with it. So, okay, ours were barely complete circles. But by the time we got to the third one, we were having really nice, crispy, you could use them like marbles, sort of rolling dough balls, and it was lovely. It was lovely. So we've been keeping ourselves busy with that. And this week's, for anyone who hasn't seen it, is a 5.5 hour technical.
Yes.
Thankfully, they have refrained from putting the recipe up on the website for this one.
Oh,
so
really?
I think on some sort of loophole, some sort of technicality, Ali and I have escaped this one.
Yep.
So we're going to be ordering a Madeleine tin instead and doing some fancy French little pastry things.
Yes, and you've got to get the hump. There was a lot talking last night. Last night, everyone was talking about the hump. It really made me laugh when they cut to Raoul, and he was like, "Why? What is this hump?"
Why is everyone giggling?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I mean, that technical was amazing. You know, what I want is I would like that, and I was going to tweet you. You know, you can borrow my kitchen if you want to come and cook that. But the slice that Paul Hollywood took of that technical, I was like, I want that slice, because he took a really big, hefty chunk out of that cake, and I was like,
it was like was it a chocolate sponge?
Mm-hmm.
Then there's some sort of mousse,
yes,
and then there's an outer layer of cream, or I can forget which way around it was. Then there was a mirror glaze over the top of it, and each one just seemed to take ages. So.
And there was also a bit of caramel in there as well, wasn't there?
That's right,
because there was a bit of caramel, and then there was almost like a bit of creme pat was in there as well. Oh. And it was just stacked up. And then it was covered in chocolate mousse, which Kim Joy had problems with. And then it was a mirror glaze on top of that. And I just thought, wow. You know, it looked incredible and good fun as well to make. But 5 hours, they must have been absolutely just destroyed after that.
I've got gaming planned on Friday. We've got friends coming around on Saturday and the NFL on Sunday. So yeah, we've got a reasonable excuse to cop out of this week's.
Yes, absolutely. But Madeleine should be lovely. I mean, there's some of the Madeleines that they made. Kim Joy's Madeleine with the bunnies on.
Oh, the bunnies.
They were just so good. She's just so good. So into the final, spoiler alert, so into the final we have those three. Who do you have anyone that you're pulling for, or you think will get it?
It sounds really mean, but because I think Raoul should have gone last week, I don't want him to win. I've also just been quite annoyed by his demeanour. I don't want to rack on his personality at all, but his demeanour in the face of adversity these last couple of weeks have annoyed me. Kim Joy this week, the fact she didn't know how to make a mousse, at least she had a panic for 5 minutes, but then came back and going, right, screw it, I'm going to make a mousse. I'm going to make the best mousse I can make. Yeah. And there was like that. I love that resilience, the fact she could turn around and go, I'm going to do this. Whereas I think Raoul's favourite phrase is like, oh. Just like that sort of sense of disappointment. His head dropped. He's out of the game. But in all honesty, I just want everyone, and this is going to sound really cheesy, but I want everyone to do well next week. because I've never liked the finals where someone's won because two other people have cocked up.
Yes.
I want it to be on a fair playing field. I want everyone to have done the best they can and it be decided that way, rather than almost by default, well, that cake spoiled, that thing collapsed, therefore C is the winner.
Yes.
So that's all I hope.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree. When we went into the final last night, I just said to Nicola, it was at that point last night, the semi-final, where I liked all of the bakers, and you do get that way. You kind of end up you love all the bakers by the quarterfinals, and you just don't want anyone to go. And I think obviously Bryony had a bit of a bad week, so she she deserved to go. And like you, when we first started, I was threatening to burn the tent down if Raoul didn't win. Now I'm the same as you. I just think his demeanor and the fact that he's gone off the boil, he still is adorable, when he said that he was looking in Sheffield for inspiration for his little French patisserie window, but it was just what he was making. He made a milk way that basically kept him in, and so for me, I'm very much I like I say, I don't mind who wins, but I think secretly I kind of want Kimjoy to win. But I think Ruby might, because Ruby is just solid.
Yeah,
she's unshakable, and I just really like. I think Ruby would do really well after the Bake Off as a person, like a personality, like a presenter. I think you could see Ruby, because she is just so good on camera, and I've said that from like day one, but she's just so good on camera. She's such a nice person. So like I say, I just want next Tuesday to just have a really good kind of final that you are just kind of rooting. Like last night, we had no idea which way it was going to go, but you when Sandy Toxvig, her voice was breaking when she was like announcing who was going home, and that was just killing Nicola and I. And we just you knew that it was going to be Bryony, because they had that
especially when she announced it as, and they've been a force for nature. It's like, well, that definitely isn't Raoul at this point in time.
Yes.
They've been a timid squeak in a hurricane.
Exactly. And also, like, Ruby got Star Baker, so that was only that was only Bryony and Kimjoy at that point. So it was just,
But I know what you mean with Ruby. I think Ruby's got the arc as well. I think she's got better as the week's gone on, because I'm sure it was only about 4 weeks ago I thought she might be the one to go after John. I thought that she was on that level, that she was just about keeping her head above water, but actually she's now just seemed to have put the foot on the accelerator and got better. So
double Star Baker going into the final as well. So that's just really cool. But I can't wait. I'm in London next Tuesday, but I'm going to make sure I finish early. So I finish on time, I should say, so I can kind of get home for the Bake Off. I'm like out the door at 5 o'clock. You'll just see my chair just spinning, just like, I'm gone. I'm going to make the 1:30 train. I just run.
Need to be back for the cakes.
I did that. Yes, I did that yesterday. I was up in Manchester, so I had a whole day in Manchester, and I left the office in Manchester at 4 o'clock, and I got home for 7:30. So I got home for 8:30 in the evening. Which was great, because we just then went into Bake Off then, so we could just fast forward all the adverts. So it was really good.
I'm still torn. For most of the series, we've watched it live, and we've just used the ad breaks to get drinks and ice cream. So it's a reasonable way round that way.
But, yes. Extra cakes from the kitchen and stuff like that. So anything else that you've been kind of up to?
No, honestly, not recently. It's mainly been baking and American football. That has pretty much been my weekend for the last few weeks. So.
That's a good. I like
a
that
good life,
mix.
though. I'm not complaining.
Absolutely, that's a really good mix. I like that. That's really cool. So let's jump into kind of what we've been playing. So what have you been playing, James?
I will start with one that doesn't quite cross over. But a couple of Fridays ago, we had a games night at work, and it happened to coincide with Mario Party 11 coming out. So one of the larger spaces at Rare was turned into, we basically had Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, PC, Rock Band, Drum Kit. We just tried to take over the place with as many consoles and as many games as possible. But the one that kept my attention for most of the night was Mario Party, and I know we played this at EGX, and we played a few of the mini games there, and Ali and I had tried one of the board game sessions before, and I found the board game a bit drawn out. Like, it literally says 10 turns will take you an hour, during which time you'll probably get 10 mini games. But after poking a little deeper on the game tonight, we managed to find the modes that were just mini games. Like, we're going back to the WarioWare style of, here's a loose structure around them, or even actually at one point with like, here's not any structure, just keep going with the mini games.
Yeah.
And it went from being a game I was happy to have purchased to a game I was just looking forward to get 4 people round to have a go at. Because it's just lovely. Like, the 60, 70, 80 odd mini games they've got in there are just bizarre, which is what I hope for these things. From the meat cube frying one that we were speaking about last time, there was weird baseball that you had to hit the ball in time with the music. Curious, just little, almost like Gradius style, flying your character through a 3D maze. There was just so much variety in there, and they just kept coming thick and fast and kept us all entertained. So really, really liking that. It's still something I don't think I will ever play single player, despite how much I want to try and unlock a few of the more ones that are hidden behind completing some of the boards. But it's great. It's great. I need to get 2 more Joy-Cons at the weekend, actually, because we've got some friends coming over. So, yes, Mario Party 11 is a hit. Because you've got this as well, haven't you?
I have indeed, yeah. I mean, Nicola and I, we've kind of only really had a couple of goes of the board game. I think we're going to be taking it away with us when we go away on holiday, so we're going to do that and maybe have some games there. But yeah, I think because Overcooked has really it's either been Forza Horizon or Overcooked being played, so there's been no time for Mario Party. But on the kind of mini games, are they all unlocked, or did you say that some of them aren't unlocked yet?
It looks like there's about 10 or so that are still hidden away behind some sort of criteria that we haven't yet discerned. But at this point in time, not really worried about that. It would be nice to get them eventually, but there's some really nice touches. But one of my favourite ones was using the rumble, like the HD rumble that they've touted so much beforehand, and they try and use it in a couple of novel ways. Like, they show 3 characters from the Mario-verse walking across a stage, each with a distinct sort of like footstep or rumble as they go across. Then the curtains draw, and someone comes out from behind the stage again, but you can't see them, and you can only detect them through their footsteps,
right?
Which is quite nice. And I'm sure you could do this with like PlayStation, Xbox Rumble if you really wanted to, but that extra touch of fidelity makes it feel a little special. Or even there's a game where there's like 16 crates full of acorns in the field, and you have to go around and pick them up and give them a bit of shake and feel how many acorns are in there, then put them down and try and figure out if the next box along has got more acorns in, but in the meantime someone might come and steal your box of... It's quite a nice like risk and reward, going like, does this feel like there's more in there? So
I like that one. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, they do far more than just say like 2 buttons and a joystick can do with the game. They make use of the fact that it's a motion controller and HD rumble and all sorts. So
when you choose like the mini game, does that then just random up some of those mini games, or are they kind of categories?
I think they've got, because the mode we played at EGX was categories, like here's an easier set, here's a medium set, but the ones we were just putting on was like random, pick one, just go.
Awesome.
Which made it more fun.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah, I'll have to give that a try.
You speaking of Overcooked 2 as well, we've both Ali and I have managed to finish off the Surf and Turf expansion. Achievements have been won on both accounts, so we're all right there. But we tried to look at the 4 stars that the team put out, and Ghost Town Games are evil. This is all I can say. They are evil, because when we first went through it, I think we all said that the initial run-through of the Overcooked 2 campaign was relatively easy, especially when compared to that first game. They were far lower bar set in terms of the points and the dishes that you had to make. It was still fun, it was still great, and I love the new mechanics they put in it. The throwing especially was superb. But it just felt like it was a little on the just walking through it stage. So when we heard the 4 stars were coming, I was like, yes, a little bit more of a challenge, a little bit more of a tough time for us to challenge with. That'll get us some more time. No, these are astronomical. These are utterly like skyscraper high bars they have given for us, because even on the first level, so I think for the first level, for 1 star you need something like 100, for 2 stars like 250, and for 3 stars 400, something like that. The 4 stars, is 5 times that amount, or 6 times. It's like 2,500 points for it. It's nuts. And Ali and I have tried that level probably like half a dozen times, and we're still 400 or 500 points away from that total, and we have no idea how we're going to get to it. To the point where I've gotten a tiny bit of a sulk, I think, with it, because it seems to be so unobtainable that I just don't care.
Yes.
And it's almost gone too far the other way. Like, I enjoy a challenge that I think we can get after, a handful of goes. But this seems so astronomical. Like, we thought we'd nailed it. We were chopping and throwing and passing plates, and it's like there was no tomorrow. But it's still so far out of our reach. I just am giving up. I'm quite happy to admit my kitchen skills aren't there, and I'm really disappointed. I thought that 4-star challenge would make us want to go through it again, but actually it's just meant, sod it.
Yes, I wonder what it's like. I wonder what it's like with 4. When you have like a bit of a games night on Saturday, I wonder what it's like with 4 people. I wonder if the level is the same, but they're kind of almost geared it up where you either play it solo or you really need to have 4 people. And I just wonder if that's kind of maybe that. Yeah, I wonder if, because, obviously, as I was saying on Sunday, Nicola's now done 7 of the. So we did 1-1 together, and I think I might have done 1-2. I'm not sure.
She let you in.
Yeah, she just literally told me what to do, and then, but Nicola has now done 7 4-stars. So she has 4-starred 7 of the levels solo, and I just do not know how she's doing it, and I can't even watch her, because when I watch her, she just tells me to not, shouts at me and says, "Don't watch me," and it's just so funny. But yeah, so she's just like a machine, and it is that kind of thing where you're just seeing her just kind of switching between the players so quickly, and it is just some advanced overcooking that's happening.
Every time I hear stories about her in the kitchen, she does seem to be just another level. Somewhere so far above us all that, I should, without her knowing, stream her on Mixer or something. It's like, watch this person do 4 stars. Because it is just a sight to behold. But yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, with like level 1-1, we were throwing. So Nicola was chopping the salmon and just throwing the fish, while I was doing the prawns. She was just throwing. And I just had this big pile. And then when it stopped being very prawn-based, it was more fish. I was then just kind of plate out, and just kept going. And it was, I think we must have done it, God knows how many times I've screamed out, but we got close. And it got to that point where, which you'll probably, understand, where you're almost so close. You're one plate away. You're one kind of, tip away from doing it. And I think that's it as well. It's about making sure you're doing it in the right order, getting your tips up, making sure you've got that kind of times 4 happening. But still, I just don't know how she does it solo. But try it with 4 and see if that kind of maybe, unless it just keeps putting the total up and up and up. No, I think with the multiplayer ones, it keeps it at the same score. I think so. I've been playing with my cousin and my cousin's girlfriend online a few times with Ali, and I don't know if you can actually choose the level. That's the only downside. You can choose which type of level you want, but we've had it where we've been practicing. Like say we just like go in as a pizza level. Mm-hmm. And we've done quite well, but we've just missed up on a couple of things as we're getting used to the system. But then you have to then only select the area rather than the specific level again. So you'll have a pizza level, but it might not be that specific one. So I'm hoping maybe we can drill down and see if there is an option where we can just do that one level over and over and over and over again.
Super. But I know what you mean. It's just that we got to that point where we thought it was too easy. Obviously, you said, I tweeted, and I just was like, I should have just kept quiet. I should have shut up. Ghost Town Games, you could just imagine them going, too easy, is it? Too easy, is that? I just kind of ramp that. They're
just
so
cackling
high.
Around their boardroom office.
Loving it, and they'll be playing this for years. But it's good fun. What else have you been playing?
So when I got back from Sunday, I decided to have a look at a game that has been described as a Game Boy game for the PC. Have you seen Return of the Obra Dinn?
No. I saw this in your list, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to hear what this is.
Yeah, it's a weird game that I recommend everyone looking at the screenshots at the very least, because it's almost a 1-bit visualization of they call it an insurance salesman simulator.
What?
It's also on a galleon from like the 1500s or something like that. It's a weird tale from the people I think did Papers, Please, but it is absolutely a sight to behold, because the renderer just is monochrome, and like a Game Boy, it just used shading of speckling here and there, like they do, I guess, in comic books or print if you look at really fine, to get over the shades of grey. Mm-hmm. Except it defaults to this Game Boy greenish tone, and so you're walking around looking at the ship, and you get the full detail from it, but it's just the pixels are either on or off, and it's just this beautiful novel style, which I will admit is what drew me in the first place. But the game, despite it saying the words insurance in its description, which could put a lot of people off, it's like a murder mystery. You've been sent aboard this ship that has returned to harbour years after it set sail, and you have to try and piece together what happened to the crew and its cargo. And so you're walking around with it. I mean, it breaks some of the weirdness into you have a magic pocket watch. And so every time you come across a body or some remains, you get to be able to flash back, almost like in a Batman detective scene sort of style, to see what happened. And so you get these little dioramas, these vignettes of how these people died. And it starts off really quite impactful, quite short, when you've got to solve a small little scene where someone's been shot, and then you walk back and you can see that the person shot them is standing there, but if you go behind that person you can see someone's trying to get in from the roof above and the cabin's being invaded from the back. And then you find the next body and you see that the person who did the shooting has then been accosted by the person who jumped in, and so you're putting together the story not just from one vignette, but how that one then lends itself to the next one. And it's quite powerful in that sense, because you're almost walking around this, I guess, graphic novel, seeing how these stories unfold, maybe not in chronological order, but then that's your challenge. You have to figure out not only how everyone died, but who they are.
Yes. Because
they don't tell you anything, and it's this massive web where maybe that someone speaks to someone else, and then their name is Paul, and then Paul was married to someone else and they were a Welsh person, and you look down the ship's itinerary and you have to try and put it together, and they were allergic to seafood, and it's just wow. It's a game of deduction. So anyone who likes stuff that looks cool, or I guess a puzzle or a murder mystery, I really recommend this. I've been trying to wrap my head around it, and I think it's going to get complex quickly, because I just kept finding bodies and I kept finding vignettes, and I need to stop, Anthony. I need to stop going deeper before I've got some names in the book, otherwise I think I'm going to make it impossible for myself.
Holy moly, so are you writing these down somewhere? Have you got like a little notebook on the side, or does it log them in the game?
It logs them in the game, but I also think I should be taking notes outside of it.
It sounds like
that someone downstairs got crushed by a cannon, and I know they were Welsh, but which Welsh one? It's that level of detail where I need to remember where the clues are, so I can go back later to then figure out the Professor Layton style puzzle of where all these different folks died. I've only played it for a couple of hours, but it's fantastic. I just haven't played a game to that scale before, because there are the odd puzzles here and there where you go like, okay, here's a dinner table, here's a dining table. Who are these people given these clues? But here is a whole ship.
This is so cool. I was just looking while you were talking. I just had a quick Google, and it looks incredible. It looks fantastic. And you say is it PC only at the moment?
I think it's PC only. I bought it on Steam over the weekend. I'm not sure if it's other consoles at the moment.
But it sounds fantastic. It sounds like such a fantastic game. It sounds like a really good game that you could play on an iPad or something like that.
Yes.
Because it's just like...
Yeah, I'm half thinking of restarting it actually, so Ali can get involved as well, because she likes Agatha Christie TV series and what have you, and books. So I figure this one we might be able to play together, like with a notebook and trying to piece it all together. Not too far away from Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, the board game that we've played a few times. So yeah, no, it's really good. It's really good.
That sounds fantastic. Like I say, it would be really good just to kind of, two heads is better than one and all that. So it'd be really good just to try and kind of work out that kind of puzzle together and just. It'd be so funny. People would come round to your house and your living room would be full of kind of screenshots and wire kind of going, well, he killed him,
red
that person. Red string everywhere, go, murderer. But just start working it out. No one will hear from the Thomases for weeks because you're working this out. But that's so cool. How did you hear about that? How did you...
Someone basically forwarded on the pictures, the screenshots, when it first got announced months and months ago, because of my obsession with my Game Boy camera.
Yes.
And so that's just been lodged in my brain ever since. So as soon as it came out, it was one of those games that I think no matter what the genre, what it was like underneath, I'd have probably got it just for that excuse alone.
Wow. That's just so cool. Fantastic.
Yeah, good.
So what else has been on your list, your nice long list of games?
I've started dabbling with Curse of the Necrodancer again. I bought that for the Switch when it came out, a nice rhythm action roguelike I think I've spoke about on the pod probably over a year or so ago. Carrying on my march towards Pirate Legend and Sea of Thieves as well, dodging around the volcanoes as I keep doing. But I've also started Forza Horizon. I think I'm a tiny bit behind you folks, but I think I'm in spring,
right?
I think on the long tutorial.
Oh, okay, yep.
I'm not quite sure when it finishes, but I'm just trying to rattle through as many of those as possible to open it up and get everything. And I'm really enjoying it again. Ali is always surprised when she finds me with a racing game on screen because I'm not a racing game fan. But Forza Horizon 3 did a lot to change that, and this open world approach is still giving, and the fact that the weather keeps changing, it's just lovely. Like everything in the UI seems to merge along with the seasons, from like your level XP bar to the map. Everything just changes with the colour and the tone as you go through the year, which is a lovely touch just to bind it all together.
Yes, I do think that the kind of the user interface in that game is just absolutely gorgeous. The menus are a little bit clunky from time to time trying to find things, but there's something about that kind of drop shadow logos that I just love so much, and everything is kind of drop shadow. It's just so nice. It just looks so good. So I really love that game. I mean, it's quite interesting because right now we're in spring week, so it's the kind of, and the change from winter to spring was really lovely. Though you kind of spend a week in winter, it's all snowy, and then suddenly you fire it up on a Thursday and you're in spring, and everything just seems so much color. It's just like real life. Everything is so much colorful, and it just feels, and it's just so cool. I just love this kind of ever changing season. So obviously next week, or this week actually, we've got summer kind of coming on Thursday, which should be good if you want to maybe. I think I was talking about it last week on the pod. I've started to notice that you can do different things. Like if I'm trying to do speed runs or things like that, then the snow was no good for that because the cars that I want to do these kind of speed traps, I don't have any traction. So I just wait for like spring or summer, and summer's going to be great for that because the roads will be all nice and crisp and dry. It's
good, yeah. I love the level it touches as well. Like running over a snowman will give you 1,000 XP or as you go along. So there's nice little variations in the background as well. But am I right in saying there's a whole? Is it features that change or unlock? Because the village that you start in, there is a board on top of the church.
Yes.
Is there a ramp that appears at a certain time of year, or does a ramp appear at a certain level?
The ramp appears at a certain level.
Oh, okay. I was imagining like a giant snow slope appearing, like a big billow drift against the side of the church.
Oh my god, that'd be so cool. No, what happens is as you start unlocking danger zones, then leveling up, because when you go into your Forza Life menu, you can then kind of see the level you are in. And when I think you get about level 7 on the danger zones, that's when they just keep adding to the map. Right now when I look at my map, it's so full of stuff that I want to do. And that's what happens. So they just keep putting some more jumps, and one of those is the jump that takes you kind of over that church.
Nice.
So, and then you get that board. But I must admit, I am struggling. I think I've got 5 boards left to go, and I am struggling so hard. There is just like, and he didn't get all the roads before Matt and myself, but Stuart has now unlocked all of the bonus boards. So, kind of hats off to Stuart, because there are some of them that I just do not know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to invite him round. I'll tease him round with cake, and then he can just do it for me, because it is just, it's so hard. Some of them are just like so hard, but I'm going to keep persevering, because it will just be the sense of worth. The once you've done it will be amazing.
I do love the fact that I have to admit, I bought the map.
Yes.
I when he gave me the option, I thought, how much is? I was like, it's like £1.50. £1.50. Yeah, go on, I'll give that a go. And it's actually helped me, I guess. Yeah, it has helped me enjoy it a lot more, because I during games of Assassin's Creed, when you have a mini map that's just absolutely covered in side quests, I think that can be slightly overwhelming. But I'm finding with Forza, if the map is just dotted with the breaking boards that you can find, it just makes me take a few more detours and maybe explore the odd road that I might not necessarily drive down. So this is early days, obviously, but I've actually found that spending that extra pound has given me a whole lot more enjoyment to it. Just careering over hillsides, going, if I just go weaving through this forest, not only is it fun to weave through the forest, trying not to smash your car, but then clipping this the bulletin board at 1,000 miles an hour as you whisk down it is great fun. I know I wouldn't have gone through there otherwise. So it's adding another little angle to it.
Absolutely. I just find I love that kind of treasure map, just to kind of unlock that. And then, like you say, it just gives you all, and you're right, you do find yourself kind of driving around, which, you may have got there if you kind of continue playing, but this actually kind of gets you there right from the start. And I'm guessing right now, if you're just doing the tutorial, your map is kind of, is not as littered as so it's quite nice for me, like, just to kind of, because you can just press your right bumper and then you can then just say unfilter, so you can just take everything off and just say show me the bonus boards, show me the XP boards, fast travel boards, and then you can just do that. And that's kind of what I did at the start. It was just lovely just to drive around listening to the radio stations, because there's some really good radio stations. They really nailed the music, I think, in this one.
Yes, yeah. The map fills up quite nicely, though, if you go down just a certain route. Because I have always enjoyed more the point-to-point and the rally racing and the off-road more than the car racing. So winter, when I went through, that was great for that, just, the mud slicks and sliding through all that there. But I'm already going up through the levels on the dirt and the rally. And so to give me more options without having to go and do the drift racing or the street racing or the drag circuit or what have you, it's really, I think that's the best tweak they've done. The fact that I can focus on the racing that I want to do rather than force me to, well, you could try all of it. So, yeah, you're right. I could try all of it, but I really don't give a monkeys. Please keep me giving these. So, yeah.
Yes. And I think it does. And I think it just keeps giving as well, especially because every season, when you get into the kind of weekly season rotation, you then get extra ones that are just for that season. So here we'll say, right, okay, we've got the spring, and here's a spring adventure. Nice. Here's a spring, which will just give you kind of that rally in, and here's a spring off-road event and things like that. So it's really good. It's absolutely fantastic, and I just love this kind of fresh content that they're kind of dropping every week as well. And that's just good fun.
Yeah, it's at the moment it seems to be settling into, so Sea of Thieves is the game I play if I've got an hour or so, and then Forza is the game if I've got half an hour. It's nice just to pull it up, spin around somewhere, do a couple of boards, do a race, and then disappear off. It's that pocket size experience that fits in quite nicely at the moment.
Superb. Have you unlocked the Sea of Thieves horn?
No, I haven't. I've got the Windows shutdown horn, though, at the moment. So
I haven't got that. I haven't got that.
Bam, 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 bam.
Oh, really? Oh, God, that sounds so cool. No, I haven't got. That's just one of the ones that are eluding me at the moment. I don't have that, but I have the Sea of Thieves on playing whenever I'm passing anyone. It's so much fun.
If only we could trade. I'd happily trade. So I haven't even seen it on a spin yet. Haven't even seen it.
Oh, right. It's normally, I think I got mine on I bought mine because it was at the Forza Farm points. So you can go there, you can buy it, but it's in the spin as well, because I have seen it kind of in the kind of bonus spins.
So I quite like the fact that you can now win things like the horns and stuff other than cars and money, which is what you could only win before. But the avatar customization that you can get, the hats and the outfits, they're all cool. I am bitterly disappointed with the fact that I can only choose from like 12 faces.
Yes.
And I understand why, because it isn't a person game. This is a car game. So don't spend all your effort on a character customization system when you're not going to see him that often. But you see them a fair amount. And I've pretty much gone for, well, I can't make me, so I might as well be something as far away as possible. So I've chosen to be, a black woman with big hair. Yeah. And that's what I do with a lot. If I can't choose, it's like, well, choose something that is definitely not me.
Yes.
As far away from me as, no one can mistake me for that. And I'm enjoying like the different suits and the different hats that I can get you, but it does seem like next time round this is going to be a more fleshed out system. This is like a V1, and either through updates or Forza Horizon 5 in a couple of years' time, maybe we'll see more from this system to try and add some actual life to your drivatar.
Yes.
Because I loved the fact that one of the races I had actually just before we started podding was one of the rally races. And it was actually Matt. My brother was there. Me and him were vying for first place for a good couple of laps. And then the podium happened at the end, and there was my character and there was his character. But neither of us looked anything like each other.
Yes.
And so it was more a case of, oh, look at the jacket that fool chose for his avatar.
Yes. Look at those wellies.
Yeah. The only thing that represented that was just his gamer tag. And then the soul was lost from that actual physical representation of him.
Yes, absolutely. I take, especially because I spent a lot of the time in like a soft top car, so in an open top car, kind of racing around, and there you do see the character, depending on your camera angle, and you're absolutely spot on. It was this kind of, that's not me, that's not even Nicola, it's that kind of thing. Because I've just got a redhead girl, because I'm similar to you. It's like none of those look like me, so I'm just going to go with this. And yeah, I like the outfits and the things, but it would be really cool if I could just kind of make me, because in Forza Motorsport, you've got a crash helmet on all the time. So, but in Forza Horizon, it is the character. It is a character. So it would be absolutely superb. I think you're absolutely spot on. But
it's not so good. I'm having a whole load of fun with it at the moment. That could just be the racing cherry on top of the proverbial car cake.
Yes. I mean, that's a really good one too that you've got there, isn't it? Kind of Sea of Thieves and Forza Horizon 4, just kind of flip-flopping between those two. I guess, are you playing these, obviously because you need to get Pirate Legend.
I need Pirate Legend. I put so many hours in. I'm not quitting till I get Pirate Legend.
We want to get you across that line. And also, I guess you're biding your time for Hitman 2?
Yes, yeah, yes. I can't remember if we've discussed on air that I am probably skipping Red Dead, which is going to come up in the news later, so we'll save talk for then. Skipping that at the moment, but Hitman is the big thing for this year. I don't think I'm going to go as hard and as long into it as I did with Hitman 1, because there's a certain amount of... Hitman 1 was special because it was new and it was exciting. I can see Hitman 2 being something that I might just dabble with over the course of the whole year.
Yeah.
But pretty much what I did with Assassin's Creed Origins, that lasted me probably about 6 months. And admittedly, in the end, I only put in like 20, 30 hours. But that was over the course of half a year. And it felt like a game I could just nip back to.
Yes.
It had an expansive world, it had a series of combats that I really enjoyed, a series of scenarios, a series of quests, and I just felt I kept going back to it, and it was a safety net for a while. And I do think Hitman's going to be like that for me. There will be this initial burst of excitement of, here we are again! Yes! And then just something that I can, like a good jumper, I can just slip it on and just settle back into it for a while. So I'm looking forward to it, but I don't think it's going to consume me all up. But I'm actually quite happy about that. Like with Smash Brothers coming up, with Forza Horizon probably still going to take quite a few multiplayer evenings that we're going to do. I'm quite happy having a few plates spinning.
Yes, I quite like the look of this new Hitman. I tried to play the first Hitman, but I think I kind of came in a little bit later. But I just didn't. I think there were other games that kind of distracted me away from it. So I just kind of think, depending on what I'm doing with Red Dead, because I'm quite excited for Red Dead coming up at the weekend. So depending on what I'm doing with Red Dead, I may jump into Hitman 2, because I like the idea that I can do all those other maps as well. I can do all those other maps because all the maps from 1 are available. Even though Hitman 1 is available on Game Pass as well, isn't it, right now? So it's kind of, you can jump in that way. And I think for me, I need to just spend some time with it, because I always found that a little bit daunting about so much choice I could do all of this myself. And I was like, okay, what am I doing? I'm standing here. I think I need to drug that man's drink. I need to do this, it was all very kind of, there's just so much choice. And I think I just need to be able to settle down into that. And I think the reason why I couldn't settle down is because there were multiple games kind of happening. And so jumping in afresh for someone who's never really kind of played a game like that before, you kind of almost need to. But I guess for you now, like you say, you're a bit of a kind of Hitman veteran. After all of the hours that you put in the first one, you kind of know the rhythm of that game, where I'm still trying to find it. But I am incredibly interested. I saw the new trailer yesterday, and it just looks absolutely fantastic.
I guess it's almost the same advice like I give with some certain games that other people find overwhelming. It's like, it doesn't matter if things go to crap. If like Hitman is a game where you can easily restart and press pause on the simulation, see how it is, and just wind it all back. But I know some people consider it cheating, but taking what do they call them, like the opportunities, the kills that they highlight, I always think are a great way to just get to know a level. There are so many ways you can go through the world yourself, choosing your own disguises and make your own way.
Yeah.
But actually looking for the called out scripted ones that really, I guess that's where all the cutscenes and where all the money's spent in there. Because the trailer they're doing at the moment is for, is it Miami, the raceway?
Yes.
That basically shows them trying to snipe a race car out, and that's obviously a very scripted event. And if you just follow the cues to get that going, I think that will give you a great sense of what's possible, where different people go in the world,
yes,
what areas are available to you, and even the disguises. And then once you're happy with that, then you can start going off-piste. I think that's what, to be honest, that's what I've done with all the levels. I will look for the scripted opportunities to bed myself in, and then start going like, well, I wonder what happens if I do this. It's just like leading your hand through the level and then just slightly going skew-if of your own accord later. But yeah, they've got a co-op mode. I'm sure they've got... No, not co-op mode. A 2-player competitive mode, and I'd really like to try that out. Because I think it's... You both do the level on your machine, but you can see the ghost of the other person. And if one person kills the target, I think the other person's got like 30 seconds to do the same. But I can also see that being quite an interesting tutorial or... hands-on guide through it. Like if you can see me doing something, then it's like, just follow this. Now if you go in here, you can find this. If you go here, you can see this disguise, and it could be interesting. So maybe we should try and hook up and try that sometime.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. It's almost like was it Dark Souls or something like that, where you had that option to do that, where you could actually ask for help, and then you couldn't talk to the other person, but they kind of gave you that. It's that's because I always thought, I saw that as kind of, this is just going to be ultra competitive, but you're right, it could be a real kind of learning curve, and it could be really good tutorial. But that's really cool. That's made me even more excited now for that. Just kind of the way that you kind of said that. That's exactly how you should, rather than trying to come up with all this stuff on your own. Really, just follow the game and what the game wants to do. Because I like that. Cool. Awesome. Well, I did have a quick news item while we were talking about kind of what we've been playing. That's kind of back to Forza Horizon that we were talking. Just that Forza Horizon has had an update that is now live. And this update kind of brings really two major things. And that is, one, it allows you to create your own route. So, which is you have up to 40 miles, but you can basically create your own route anywhere that you want to go. You can set the checkpoints, how wide, how narrow you want them to be. You can be really mean. And so you can do this, and you can basically then save that and then kind of add that into when you're kind of playing those online adventures. So this is now available now. This update happened, I think it was yesterday. And it's now kind of ready to play. So I'm quite excited to kind of jumping in, kind of doing some of the routes. I know Wee Man from the Forza Car Club, he's very excited. He's going to jump in and start doing some routes as well. So we're going to be kind of playing some of those when we kind of have our next online match. So I'm quite excited about this. It could be some even extra shouting, like, who created this map? Who did this? It could be some
Why would you put a checkpoint there?
I've just fell off the cliff. Why is it there? So we've got Route Creator, and also there is another Horizon story. So one of the things that you'll come across, which is the La Racer, which is one of the things which kind of goes with that top 10 of video game cars. They've added another story, and this is, it's called British Racing Green, and it explores a century of cars that have been built in Britain. So this sounds like it's going to be, you need to be level 50 to unlock it, level 50 or above, and it starts in Broadway. So, and then when you kind of do, there's going to be a whole unique items and clothing, probably think kind of old racing gentleman maybe, and also a classic Bentley is also available for kind of finishing this. So just the fact that we're getting new stories and new route creators and things like this is already becoming kind of one of those games that just kind of gets more and more content.
Well, the amount of time that we spent playing Horizon 3, like over the course of, I think well past when Forza 7 came out, like we've been playing it even like the last few months. It's good. It's good. So everything that they can do this early on, I think, is just going to snare us further.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, I can't wait to get into this as content creator as well. That's just an afternoon, just kind of making those evil tracks. Right, so let's jump in.
I was just, like, you could effectively, and this is me just going to the where most goes, you like either make Mario 1-1 or you just try and make a Mario Kart lap. You could just set out Mario Kart laps, find a big flat plane, and just spec them out with all the checkpoints. This is where my mind's instantly gone.
That is genius.
Wee Man, get on it.
Wee Man, I want yes. Oh, we could have Rainbow Roads.
Oh my word!
Oh my God, Wee Man, get on that. That is just that will just be so much fun. The only other game that I've been playing before we jump into the news is I have tried Hello Neighbor. So I popped it on last night after the Bake Off, needed something to kind of calm me down a little bit after the fun that was the Bake Off. And Hello Neighbor is not that because it's such a fantastic game. So Hello Neighbor is basically, we'll get to it in the news story, but it's a new game that's been added to Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass. And this is a first person, almost sneak 'em up, sleuth 'em up, because basically you have your neighbor. The graphics look very similar to... Do you remember that movie Monster House that was a CGI movie a couple of years ago? It was like a DreamWorks animation. It kind of looks a little bit... It reminds me of that, which kind of drew me in. And basically, you have a neighbor, and you have so you're hearing screams from your neighbor's house. And what you've got to choose is you've got to try and kind of find out what's happening in the house without being caught by your neighbor. And when your neighbor comes, it's just really kind of scary because suddenly the music changes and the screen gets dark and then your neighbor just appears and then you restart again. So it's almost like a bit like a roguelike because they've got to go and do it again. You've got to try and figure out what's happening. So I'm like, right, I'm going to go to the back. I'm going to go in through this window. I'm going to try and distract him by using this. I'm going to take the TV and put it, and it's all those kind of things. And I'm building up this path to try and find out what's happening, and all the while you can hear the scream every now and then or a rattle of a door, and it's just so good. And with Halloween coming up, it's just such a great game to play. So like I say, I had must have been about 45 minutes to an hour playing it last night, and I was like, I want to play more of this game. I really want to put my headphones on and just really figure out what's going on because it's such a great game.
That sounds like it's going to get you in training for Hitman as well.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I'm a Hitman in training with Hello Neighbor. And that's the title of the podcast, Hitman in Training. Right. So before we start the news, don't forget you can rate, review, and subscribe to this very podcast for free on iTunes, Spotify, and also on YouTube. So in the news section this week, Red Dead has all the data, Nintendo are bringing Labo to schools, and we have spooky new games coming to Game Pass. But James, first piece of news is with you.
Yeah, I wanted to call this out because after the epic Call of Duty patch that you were talking about last week or the week before, Red Dead Redemption, the cowboy game. We'll just call it the cowboy game.
That's it.
The cowboy game is shipping on 2 discs.
Wow.
And because they say there's about 100 gigs worth of data that needs to be installed onto your hard drives for this one if you're on PlayStation or Xbox. But I just want to call it, I think this is really good. Like, I'm sure there will be a day one patch. But rather than trying to rinse everyone's network connections for another 50 gig, which is effectively what one disk would be, they're actually including it in the package. Yes, you've got to install it, but it's going to save that download time for everyone. It means that more people are likely to be able to play as they come home from, I almost said Toys R Us, but I know that's not existing anymore, from Game or CEX. You can start playing quicker. And I just wanted to give them a little nod of appreciation for this, and hopefully this might be the start of more of the epic games doing this. Because we've had 50 odd gig downloads when we've had 4K games for the Scorpio, haven't we? The extra texture packs for Gears of War or Forza, and just slipping them on another disc is just going to make the world of difference, I think, in the long run. So yeah, kudos to Rockstar for this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of feel that it's going to be one of those things where you just put in the install disk, you kind of install that to your hard drive, that's done, and you'll probably never need that disk again unless you delete the game because you need space. That's it, and then you'll just be running off the play disk, I'm guessing. Yeah.
There's probably even provisions that if you lose it or something, I'm sure you can just download the package as you can everywhere else. But yeah, it's a one and done. As Steve was worried, you have to swap discs, but no, you just install nowadays. You just put it in as effectively the key, just the trigger to allow you to run the executable, which is cool. So yeah. But yeah, have you gone physical or digital? It's probably a silly question.
Yes, digital for me. I've gone digital on. I think only games that I get from Boomerang are the only kind of physical games that I kind of play now. The rest is digital. But yeah, the download unlocked last week, and it was a whopping 88.1 gig, which I then downloaded because we've got a couple of Xboxes in the house. So I've got the big TV and the smaller TV in the movie room and the one upstairs. So I downloaded that 3 times in my house because each of these Xboxes has a hard drive connected to it. So I basically just had to download kind of this 88 gig game 3 times. I'm so glad I'm not on a metered broadband connection, but I just left them just downloading. I just kicked them off, made sure they was kicked off. There is hopefully this pod will be out before Red Dead Redemption drops, and there is going to be a day one patch. So Rockstar did announce yesterday that there's going to be a day one patch for Red Dead. So I'm hoping that won't be too big.
Yeah, well, it might be 12 gig by the sounds of things.
Oh, really?
I'm just doing the maths between them installing 100 gig from the discs to you only downloading 88.
Oh, interesting. And I know it also needs 50 gig space while it's doing its thing as well. So it's quite a meaty game. I mean, it's a beautiful looking game. It's a fantastic looking game that obviously needs every single one of those gigs.
Yes, yeah. I was reading the article on Kotaku today about the Crunch investigation. That I'll have to look up his name, who wrote it, to give him full credit. And yeah, just some of the screenshots within that looked absolutely gorgeous. Obviously, probably staged on a high end, 4K telly or so. But yeah, they do look tasty.
There's Jason Schreier.
Jason Schreier. There's a great article to follow up you and Steve's discussion last week on the Rockstar culture of crunch. I wasn't completely taken with all of Steve's responses to give them the benefit of the doubt. It's like you don't. There's been a lot of noise about Rockstar's crunch over the years, and you don't give them the benefit of the doubt for that one. But yeah, I think for a good balanced article, Jason Schreier has interviewed dozens of former and current Rockstar employees, and it's worth having a look there. That there are definitely extremes to the spectrum, shall we say. There's some good and some very, very bad.
And some not so good. I'll stick a link to that in the show notes as well, so if anyone wants to read it. And I know this is happening, and we report on this, and it's good that Jason Schreier is out there doing that kind of almost investigative journalism and kind of within gaming. But it's just such a part of me just kind of thinks it's such a shame that we've got this amazing game coming out. Everybody's waiting, everybody's poised, and now suddenly what I'm seeing on Twitter in my bubble on Twitter is that people have started to almost kind of hate Rockstar. they've started to hate Rockstar. I'm seeing lots of kind of very negative going, and then when you look at, which I should never really do, and look at all the kind of retweets and things like, I'm not buying this game, or you look at the comments and people say that they're not buying it, but I guess if you looked on their gamer tag on Friday evening, they're probably playing it.
Oh my gosh, the horse!
But it just kind of it almost just kind of sours it somewhat that this has come out now. If this would have come out last year, we would have all forgot by the time we're playing Red Dead. But I guess it's also a good time that this has come out. But it just I just kind of feel a little. I'm not feeling sorry for Rockstar, but it's just like you can tell why they don't give interviews. You can tell why they do kind of keep themselves to themselves, because the moment the door is slightly ajar, we will kind of pick on them
I don't think that. Like I think to say that no, they shouldn't give interviews because they might reveal how their studios are run is ridiculous.
No,
it's okay, you can not give interviews, but you can also actually run your studios in a manner that is suitable to all your employees.
Absolutely, and treat your employees like a human being. But the actual line that started all of this, that really kind of kicked this off, was about them doing the writing. And this is about Dan Houser doing the writing, saying that we're working 100 hours. Now, I know when we've looked and we've kind of pulled back the curtain, there's a lot more than just those people doing 100 hours. But at the same time, you can tell why they're very solitary, because maybe they're just trying to hide the atrocities that are happening behind the door. But you can tell why they don't come out and give interviews, and why, Daniel Radcliffe has to play one of them in a show, because that's the only way that we'll get this information.
I completely forgot that, yes, Harry Potter played one of the GTA creators. That was a special time for television.
Oh, it was special. That was a special thing. But I'm excited. I will appreciate every single hour that I play of that game, and not let it kind of but I just feel that this is a big thing for gaming. Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out. This is a big game, and at the same time we've got this big game, we've also just got all of this other noise that's kind of happening around it.
Yeah, it's not the first time either. Like from the first Red Dead, I can't do it again. From the first cowboy game,
Yes.
there was a spouse letter, almost like EA spouse from like 15 years ago, that came out and said they're just working them silly. And there's a lot of other stories that come out, and but yeah, some people say they enjoy it, some people say they don't. So it's I think it's areas of grey behind the scenes, but it does sound like it's getting better over the years at Rockstar from Mr. Schreier's article. That I guess in any studio, that any of the older studios, I guess, was built up from bedroom coders just trying to put out cassettes and what have you from their own little apartments and making their way in the world and actually trying to grow a studio. And so many people, I guess, just didn't run businesses. They were just passionate people that then happened to have people working with them. And so you can see why back in the day that this massive culture of extended crunch was a thing, because this was just people getting together to do something. But culture has changed, and especially like the generations coming through since. You've either found them, they've probably started families, or they are younger people who are more aware of the work-life balance that people should have.
Yes.
Especially for the mental health aspect of them all. Some companies have moved along, some sound like they have further to go. So I would not be surprised, though, if we hear more of this in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I was saying last week, just based on the team that I run at kind of at my firm, it's just how I've noticed, how I've experienced firsthand that kind of working lengthy hours day after day, week after week, really does. They can affect your kind of mental health, and you really need to make sure that people do have that work-life balance. And and I've experienced that myself, and also within my team. And you do really make sure that as a manager, you need to make sure that those guys are. And whether it's just a case of Rockstar need to employ more people, so their margins may be smaller, but they're not damaging people along the way. That's always, you put more resource at it. There's a chart that shows you if you put more resource, obviously your margin's going to drop, but your game you'll still have that quality. You don't have to make people kind of work 6 days a week, 100 hours a week. So yes. I'm still going to enjoy it. I'm still going to enjoy the cowboy game.
You're still going to watch those horse testicles shrink in the cold.
Yes, I haven't seen this. I've kind of seen a bit of meme of it, but I haven't seen it kind of live. So I'm just gonna.
They're keeping the good stuff for the gameplay videos
exactly.
on launch. This is
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
If they released this early, no one would buy it. It's like, oh, the gift's enough.
65-inch screen. I'll just be waiting. I'll be going straight. As soon as I fire up the game, I'm going to find the coldest mountain on my horse and see it happen. First thing, and that better.
You please warn Nicola before she walks into the room.
Yes,
like, Anthony, what are you? What? Oh God!
What are you doing? Why is it photo mode? What are you doing?
Where's the camera between their legs?
It better be an achievement. That's all I'm saying. It better be achievement, Dan Hauser. Right, next piece of news is with me, and this is a more kind of upbeat, and this is about that Nintendo have partnered with a New York-based non-profit institute called the Institute of Play, and what these guys are doing with Nintendo and the Institute of Play, they've got together to pilot a scheme to bring Labo into schools. So what they're going to be doing is kind of almost kind of a junior school in the UK. They're going to be bringing kind of Labo with Nintendo Switch kits and all of that to help to teach kids problem-solving techniques and also about how different technologies work and also programming aspects as well. So kind of teach them at a young age. Now I know, James, you've done some things with schools, haven't you, as well, about kind of teaching kids coding and things like that.
Yeah, I've run a couple of code clubs which use a programming language called Scratch, which is effectively drag and drop, so they can put the Lego bricks together and they create, statements, conditionals, execution commands, and building it up, giving them a nice graphical interface and lots of sprites to work with. That's good. That system's good because it's quite intuitive, but I can see this going down well because you also have that very physical, tactile element of it as well. Because I don't think I was ever on the pod to actually speak about Labo, but the couple of things that I made from the remote control car and the fishing, it was just good, classic fun, I guess. The fact that you're constructing something out of cardboard, you can colour it if you want, and then you get to play a game of it at the end of it is great. And so just even being able to poke around and experiment with what the inbuilt programming language can do with the sensors and everything should be cool. I can see some good projects coming out of that. Especially because you could wrap them around most things, be it like maths or science or geography, I'm sure, technology, everything. You could probably theme any piece of cardboard to go with your lesson plan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Nintendo are going to be bringing, like I say, they're going to be bringing Labo kits to school. They're going to be bringing them to 100 schools in the US. Just as a start, as a pilot, this is the first step in this. So, and the goal is to reach around 2,000 students around from 2018 and 2019 school. And the Institute of Play is going to set up guidelines, so they're going to teach the teachers to be able to work with Labo as well, because obviously you don't want to just go, here you go, show the kids something cool, and the teachers maybe don't know what they're going to be teaching. So they're also going to take time to show the teachers what they need to do and help with a curriculum. And this is something that's happening in the US, but it's also already happened in Canada as well, where Nintendo have partnered with Actua, who are an education company. So they're already doing this again in kind of Canadian schools, and I just think this is absolutely fantastic. There are things like, as you're saying, your code club, and I know from a friend who has his son has started doing coding as well, and I think Darren back in the day was attended some coding sessions with his son at the school as well. So I love the fact that we have these people that could start being interested in coding and programming from a very early age, because I know if I had this when I was at school, I would have just lapped up every second of it. This really does. If you've got a child that maybe is struggling with their math, and then they can suddenly get this almost fun play element to it. Not that maths isn't fun, but they get this fun play element to it. It really does kind of just grab their interest. So I just think this is a fantastic program. Yeah,
I don't think you can put enough emphasis on the fact of being such a high brand recognition as well, because ever since Minecraft, like I can't remember which system they teamed up with, but Minecraft did an educational one where you can program Steve to run around and do things and build stuff, and that went down great guns because obviously there's a brand recognition there. So I guess as long as there's, it's the Nintendo, it's Switch, it's Mario, then yeah, you're going to get your foot in your door and get far more people interested. Especially with the focus, in theory, on our curriculum of going into coding and programming to suit the youngsters for the digital age. This could be good.
It's absolutely fantastic. So no, I'm interested to see if they kind of bring that over to this country as well, and to see if they kind of go further afield, because Nintendo have got a bob or two, so they could kind of continue to help. And there's no doubt that this also helps. A kid's playing with this and working with this at school. What's the first thing they're going to do? For Christmas, I want to continue doing that, and then
Mother, could I have a Switch?
Yeah, exactly. I want to play with that cardboard. That's the worst thing that a kid could say to their parents this year. Is that it was like, I'd like that cardboard thing. They just go, here you go.
That sounds cheap. Yes, you can have the cardboard thing. Oh.
Here's a box. I got you some flat pack. There you go. So, James, next piece of news is with you.
Yes. Well, Insomniac have been causing a splash as they have been, with their latest update, making fun of puddlegate. This isn't a serious news story, but this really caught my fancy earlier on, as basically, Insomniac, who put out Spider-Man on the PS4 only a few weeks ago, have been trolling their community in the lightest possible way by adding sticker packs to their game to enhance photo mode. And one of the stickers in question that they've decided to advertise the feature, puddles.
Nice.
Because I think we covered on the news a few weeks, if not months back, there was an outrage where the puddles had been downgraded, I tell you, Anthony, in the game itself. In reality, the level had been redesigned because it was a bit too wet for an inside situation. But they have added a sticker pack so you can put as many puddles as you like across the game, and I just think it's lovely. Like they've seen so many people do things with photo mode. I mean, the amount of photos that you alone put into our WhatsApp group. I mean, there's a reason
Guilty.
why I got it muted. I guess that because they've done covers of magazines, they've done newspaper shots, they put so many filters in. So to add this, just an extra level of cheek is just beautiful.
So I can't wait to jump into the new stuff, because this week we got the new content, so the DLC. So I haven't finished the main story. I was supposed to do that on Saturday, but Nicola kind of dragged me outside in the gorgeous autumnal sun. But I was supposed to play that, but instead I'm hoping that I'm going to get that done this weekend and finish the main story, so I can then jump into the first part of the heist. So this content pack, these stickers, these puddles are all kind of part of that kind of new update. So I'm hoping there's going to be even more filters that I can take pictures and spam you.
I will unmute you for a short while then to just feast on their glorious stickiness.
Of those puddles. I'm going to be putting puddles everywhere. Yeah. So yeah,
I just thought it was such a lovely way to announce it. It's like I'm sure the person who was at it is like really angry deep down, but the rest of us internet can at least appreciate those guys have a sense of humour.
Yes, indeed, and that is just the lovely thing about it, and I just love their photo mode is just, is fantastic, that as you've seen from all those pictures, the things you could do it, the angles and everything, it's absolutely incredible.
Grant, and the next piece of news then is with you.
Yeah, quick piece of news that EA posted today about Battlefield 5. So Battlefield 5 is coming out the other side of Red Dead, and so we're going to get Battlefield 5 very soon. And what they've actually announced today is that their Battle Royale mode, which is called Firestorm, is coming out in March 2019. So they did say that it would come out after the game has gone live, but they announced today a whole kind of journey, all of the add-ons that they're going to be bringing out, and the windows that they're going to be bringing them out in. So we have Overture, which is from December to January, and that brings a practice range, vehicle cosmetics. Oh, there's going to be so many pretty tanks. Pink tanks. I'm going for a pink tank. And then we're going to have tank battles in Belgium. And then we have Lightning Strikes is the second piece of kind of content, and that's from January to March. And that brings new missions, new modes, and it also brings with it it also brings this battle royale mode. So at the moment, I think they're kind of clocking in around about 65 to 80 people on their battle royale map, but I'm sure maybe by March they'll kind of reach that kind of sweet spot of 100. So with Call of Duty, sounds like it's kind of doing well in the battle royale. I'm hearing lots of positive kind of comments about it. I'm off to see my nephews at the weekend, so I would like to see what one of my nephews who's been playing Call of Duty for years, if he's been playing it and what he thinks of that kind of battle royale mode, and maybe even kind of have a quick go while I'm there as well.
Yeah, I think moving it out to March is really sensible.
Yes.
You could tell from everything I've read and listened and spoke to people about, you can tell the Call of Duty one is solid. Mm-hmm. It's really good fun, but they can also tell that it was put together at a rate of knots, and there's certain elements, polish, maybe the presentation, that while it's still a high, Activision Call of Duty standard that surpasses anything that Battlegrounds could do, that it'll probably be far better, say, next year when it's had time to percolate.
Yes.
So between giving it some extra time to allow it the lavish approach that most Battlefield games take, because they're usually graphical powerhouses, between that and I think just letting people settle with Call of Duty's Battlegrounds, because putting one out just a matter of weeks after the bigger shooter, it's just going to be cannibalizing your user base at that point. Yeah, you'll get the hardcore coming over to you, but by 6 months' time, or 5 months' time, I guess at this point, you'll probably be able to persuade some of the Call of Dutyers just to come over and see what it's like. So this is good. I think this is a sensible plan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been created by Criterion, the UK studios Criterion. So they're doing it, and it's going to have all of that shrinking battlefield. It's going to have vehicles. It's going to have destruction. So it's just, like you say, it sounds like it's similar to Call of Duty. It's a game in itself. Even though it's just one of those three options to play, it sounds like it's a game itself. And you're absolutely spot on. Giving space. So maybe maybe EA have had a look at kind of the Battlefield, Call of Duty's numbers, and seeing that everyone is quite excited about it, and it is it's performing. That's a reason why. Like you say, just give it air, give it time to breathe, and then you'll come out with a fresh perspective on Battle Royale in March.
Are you going to give either of these a go, the Call of Duty or Battlefield ones?
I like the idea of Battlefield, especially because Battlefield has a kind of single-player campaign. I think it might be more of that kind of vignette style that they did in the World War I game, and I really enjoyed that, kind of jumping into different games, different characters from a different perspective. You were driving a tank. There was one guy that was in a battle suit, and so I quite enjoyed playing that. So I think I'm going to jump into Battlefield 5. I do have Call of Duty on Boomerang, so it's on my Boomerang list, so I might get that kind of before I go away on holiday to maybe just kind of jump in so I can experience that Battle Royale mode, because I played the beta, and that was okay, but I'm sure, kind of now it's kind of moved on and it's a lot more polished. Yeah,
I'm still just not into online shooters at this point. I feel I get too much ragey about them, so for my own good I stay away. But yeah, I can hopefully, if you can squad up in Battlefield, that would probably win me over.
Yes.
In the same way that I'm waiting for Red Dead to see what the online mode is for that, and maybe that can take us over to some posses. So yeah, it's all about the co-op for me.
Absolutely, and it will be interesting to see when that comes out on things like EA Access as well. I guess you'll get that 10-hour demo when Battlefield comes out, so you can kind of play that as part of the EA Access kind of program. But yeah, I mean, Call of Duty has a team of 4 kind of squad that you can take into the Battle Royale, and so does PUBG as well. So there's some, and they've been some fun times. I think the best times that I've had with PUBG is when I've been kind of squadding up with Manny and the guys and doing that, because it's far better going in a squad of 4 than it is kind of solo on your own, because they do feel very, very solitary games when you're on your own. And like I say, it's all about that last minute, and then it does, and I could understand getting very ragey because you've just spent the last 20 minutes hiding in a bathtub, and then you just get killed by someone opening a door. So yeah, but Battlefield 5's Battle Royale coming out in 2019, and then the last piece of news is with me. And I think I hinted at it at the start. I'm definitely playing Hello Neighbor, and that's the fact that Xbox Game Pass has added some spooky titles just in time for Halloween. So they had been teasing it, I think, for about a week, where they had a loading screen that was happening, a loading bar in Twitter. So I think it was like a pumpkin loading bar or something like that. So you knew that something was happening, and I think it got to 80% maybe kind of over the weekend, and they've been teasing it by percent. And so on Monday they announced what they were going to do, and they have basically 2 spooky game drop. And in the 2 spooky game drop, we do have some spooky titles, and we have Dead Island Riptide, the definitive edition. So you go up against a whole load of zombies. I think that's kind of one of those ones that, I think it's Dead Island, where at night time it just becomes, you almost need to just hide, because they are incredibly scary. So we've got Dead Island Riptide, is available now. Outlast. Now this looks really scary. This looks like a game that would just haunt you.
Yeah, just the cover shots of, I guess it looks like you're wearing night vision goggles,
yes,
and this zombie thing coming at you with the white eyes. Yep. Just like, nope,
yep,
nope, nope,
nope, not gonna play that. You're in a remote insane asylum as
nope.
well. That's been kind of, so it's run, hide, or die. It's very similar to that Aliens game that was out a couple of years ago. You know, when you came across that the alien, you just had to hide in a closet, and it's very much kind of like that. So this is a first-person survival horror game that takes you through this kind of absolute nightmare. And then we have Hello Neighbor, which I was saying I had a quick go of, and I like this game. I just want to get into this a little bit more. It has an advanced AI that learns from your every move, knows where you kind of say, for me, I'm going straight around the back of the house and I'm trying to get it, and it's almost like it knows, it knows that I'm doing this. It's ready. It's just standing there, standing over me, and then I have to restart again. And then the other one is, I kind of just want to say Observer, but it's kind of greater than Observer, underscore. So it's Observer, and this is a kind of set in the near future. It's a cyberpunk Poland 2084. It's robotics. It's got Dolph Lundgren does kind of very facial animation in the game. It really does look like a bit like kind of like a scary version of what's the movie that I am blanking on, that I should just flog myself, Blade Runner.
Okay.
So it has
yes.
that kind of has that kind of aesthetic. Sorry for anyone. I'm just like, I can't believe I just blanked on Blade Runner. So they're the games that are adding. So we've just basically have our 2 spooky game collection that has come into Game Pass. You've got those 4 new games, and also there is also going to be a Halloween sale as well on spooky games. So I think not only on Xbox, but there's also on PlayStation as well. PlayStation have some scary games, some discounts on some scary games.
Yeah, I like those 4 games because they're not just straight out horror games, are they? Because you could always easily go down the Outlast route of going, we're going to scare the bejesus out of you. But between from what you're saying about Hello Neighbor and the more action adventure, probably just more action Dead Island side of things, they're covering quite a few bases there. So it's a good spread.
Yes.
And compared to the very grim zombie man with face that's half a cog, that's the other ones. Hello Neighbor is just a man in a tank top. I mean, admittedly, he's wielding a spade ominously.
Yes.
But it does seem like a very friendly one by comparison with some colours. So.
He does have a very scary moustache. There's something very worrying
as
about...
moustaches go, yes.
You could tell he was evil if you pass him in the street. But like I say, it is the nicest. It's the one that's not going... It's the one that's going to make you think rather than kind of make you stay awake all night scared of the shadows.
Just lying there in bed with a bat.
I can't believe I played that. But Outlast does look incredibly scary. But
nope.
But no, I just don't think I can. I would love to be able to just sit down in the movie room with headphones on and all the lights off. But I just don't think I'm that good.
See, I remember playing Resident Evil 1, the remake on the GameCube.
Oh yes.
And that was the first time I'd played any Resident Evil game, and it was at night. It was on the GameCube, so it was on a 24-inch CRT telly as well. But I can remember the background. The backgrounds were beautiful on that one, just like rendered out, and they'd done some trickery so that it was effectively just there. It was static. It was an image, so it was really high res compared to what the rest of the GameCube's library could do. And I can remember just being the first time, like a dog jumped through a window or something. I just about managed to stagger myself. But by the third time, my nerves were frayed. It's like, nope, lights are on. Let's play this again in the morning. Scared the crap out of me enough tonight, thank you.
I can only play it in the daylight.
Oh, yep. The curtain's open. I don't care if there's glare. It's fine.
It's just like me with Resident Evil 7, the latest one with VR. That was just I still can't believe that I played that in VR. I had to come out of VR just for the end, just because the final bosses were just a little bit too evil in VR. I was finding myself whipping my head around and giving myself a little bit. But that game is properly scary when you're in VR. It really does. You love coming out of VR after it because everything is safe, everything is fine. But you do just kind of, after a while, it just, oh god, that game was so scary.
Yeah.
It really was.
I can't even do scary movies that much.
Really?
I don't. I don't like that sort of like adrenaline burst that you get from. I think it's how they do it. It's the build up. It's the anticipation of it all.
Yes.
And I'm just not built for that. I am not built for that at all. So.
I always try to get Nicola to watch a scary movie around Halloween, but they are kind of very kind of almost friendly scary. So we've watched The Shining, which isn't very kind of jump scary. We've watched Scream a lot because we can kind of get away with that. Like Nicola, well, let's just watch Scream, and that does it. But I was trying to get her to watch It this year, but I don't think that's going to happen at all. She saw a picture of Pennywise, and that was it. It was all over. She was like, nope, not going to watch that. But that is a good movie. Right. And with that's about it for this episode. Big thank you for listening. James, big thank you for pulling up on mic.
Pleasure, thank you.
You're welcome. And don't forget, you can keep up with us at gamersoflostspark.com. You can also find us on Facebook, on Twitter, we're at Lost Park Pod. You can find us on YouTube and also the Gamers of Lost Park PS4 community and Xbox One Club. James, where can people catch up with you?
You can find me as Big Sheep on Twitter, Xbox Live, PSN and Nintendo. And before we go, I know you're about to do yours, but have you looked into the PlayStation switching? Are you on their beta plan to actually have a name change?
I am indeed, but I'm not going to do it. I am. Oh my god. I mean, Chessman has not been released. So I registered Chessman ages ago, and I think I've said before on the pod that there was something that happened. I couldn't.
You forgot your email.
Yeah,
address.
I couldn't recover it. It was all of that. But if you, and I will find the announcement. I think I put it into our WhatsApp the other day.
Oh, the terms and conditions.
The terms and conditions. So I'm on the beta program. I'm on the 6.1 because I think now with PlayStation Beta is once you sign up to the beta, you then get you're now in the beta, similar to Xbox, you're now in the beta. So what I got was, so you can change your name, and it seems very easy to change. You just go into settings, and then you can then change your name. But they did say important information before you change your online ID. You may lose access to content, including paid-for content, that you have acquired for games, including content like virtual currency. You may lose your progress within games, including game save data, leaderboard data, and progress towards trophies. Part of your game or applications might not function properly, both online and offline. Your previous online ID may remain visible to you and other players in some places.
It's basically scaring me, and I'm not even contemplating it. It does make me think I'm going to stick rather than twist with this.
Why would anybody, even if I wasn't anywhere close to PSN-Chessman on the PlayStation Network, I would not, if they went Chessman was available, I'd have to seriously sit there and think about whether I wanted to roll that die and take that gamble. That's a lot of stuff that you could lose.
I can see why it's in the beta now as well.
Yes.
Because when we first spoke about it, and the fact that, even last week or the week before, you were saying that, Chessman is a unique identifier somewhere.
Yes.
Somewhere that is locked to something. And which is why I can see them never freeing it up, because it is legitimately a unique ID in their system. and unless they retire the entirety of like PS3 systems, like Xbox did with Xbox Original,
yes,
that's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But dear Lord, when it basically says, "Would you like to sacrifice your firstborn for your name change?" It's like, no.
It's just the fact that it's. I mean, I know they have to put that. It's like this may happen. It's like when you read the side of paracetamols that says may cause headaches for you're taking it for a headache. I know they have to put that, but that's a lot of scary stuff. You can imagine changing your name, being very happy that you're Chessman, and suddenly none of the games you bought are there. You can't play Spider-Man. All of your progress has gone, and you've now got to find all those backpacks again. I'm like, no, thank you. I'm just like, I'll skip, thank you. So I'll stay as PSN-Chessman on PlayStation Network.
Yeah. I think it's safe. We know where you are. We know where to find you.
Yes. It's just like, it's just that, because I love the fact that you're Big Sheep on all platforms. That is just so good. And, the guy who is Chessman on Twitter hasn't tweeted for ages. Kills me. And now the fact that I have tied up that PSN name as well, I could be like James Thomas. I could be, though obviously not Big Sheep on everything. I could be Chessman on everything, but I'm so glad it's happening. But I'd be very interested to see if anybody actually does actively change their name. Reading all that. Because it does, that's what I was just read, came in an email yesterday from Sony, but when you're going through and you hit change profile name, all of that does come up on screen as well. So unless you're like the Apple terms and conditions, you just scroll to the bottom and hit agree, and just do it anyway. I'll be interested to see what happens if someone does change it. I mean, it must work, because they wouldn't have allowed it to go into beta without it working.
Yeah, it must be a certain level. This must be to get the...
There's a tolerance, isn't there?
It's the covering their own backs wording, as far as I can see with this one.
Yes. Indeed. So, though, I will still be PSN-Chessman on the PlayStation Network, Chessman on Xbox Live, God, I'm a pro, and Nintendo Switch, and Chessman UK on Twitter. Don't forget, if you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That's feedback@gamersofthelost.com. That's about it. Say goodbye, James.
Bye-bye.
I'm recording. The wavy things are looking good. That's always a good sign.
I have waves. I have waves. I have smaller waves. Big waves!
Sound check for dummies. Big waves!
The wibbly thing is wibbling.